So let me guess, you're watching this video because you have a massive network, you're selling 1,000 houses a year, and you're making all the money you've ever desired. Okay, probably not, but you're probably aspiring to make more money and sell more houses than you currently are. And in this video, I'm going to be diving into why I believe cold calling is going to be the answer to all of your questions. It'll be your saving grace. So let's dive into the video. So, to begin with, I want you to understand, and I want you to hear this from me. I was somebody that was terrified, first and foremost, to ever even pick up the phone in the first place, to even start making calls. I was terrified. I literally wanted to do anything else, period. Anything else my mentor could have given me, I would rather have done that than make my phone calls. I want you to understand that making cold calls, or really just any type of calls in general, take the word cold out of it, making calls in general and mastering the art of communication is going to allow you to explode your business, take your business to the next level, whatever that looks like. And the beautiful thing about calling in general is that there's no experience truly needed to get started. There's really not a huge upfront cost. Anybody can do it. You don't need to master how to run YouTube ads or Facebook ads. You don't need to know all these other special things. You really just need to pick up this device right here and start calling your friends and family. That's a really simple place to start. And then from there, you can dive into cold calling, which, yes, you might want to follow a script, which we'll talk about today. But again, to be blunt, nobody needs anything just to get started in making calls. What this art of communication, what the art of communication will do for you will be revolutionary to your business. So let's talk about the first simple things that everyone should be doing in order to get better at making cold calls or even just making your first phone call. Number one, go to your contact book and realize that most of you, because a lot of people who come to me first for coaching, they go, I don't have a database. Whether they're a young brand new agent or just getting started as a second career, a lot of people say, Henry, I just don't have the database. Well, go into your contact list because I'm telling you right there, this is a beautiful place to start. So I have about 3,500 contacts. So what happens is when you have about 3,500 contacts, you should easily be able to convert anywhere between 3 and 10% depending on how your contacts are set up. Because obviously, listen, if you're 20 years old, you're probably not going to be on the 10% range because normally most of your contacts are going to be your friends and probably family members. So you'll probably be closer to 3%. But if coming into real estate is a second career and you're anywhere in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, or later, I guarantee you're going to have 5 or 10% churn in your database, in your contact list. That means 5 or 10% of the people in your phone book are probably going to be looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. That's a quick thing right off the bat. Second, it is simple, but I would recommend reading your script over and over and over again. And for a lot of you, what you can easily do is that you can just go to the Google Tom Ferry script book. There's a free version right on Google. It's a PDF, download it. Easy, simple. I started with the same exact thing. What you'll do is you'll literally take out your script, just read it out loud every single day, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times before you jump into your calling sessions. Make it stupid simple. Another thing that you can be diving into and doing right off the bat, again, no true prior experience needed, is get a role-playing partner. Find a friend, a family member, anybody. Could be your spouse, it could be a coworker, it could be legitimately anybody. It could be your kids, right? So take out the who's who out of it, and all you need is somebody who can pretend to be the client. And if it's a colleague, you can even go back and forth. I'll be the agent, you be the client. Then I'll be the client, you be the agent. Get a role-playing partner and go back and forth. Read your script and allow them to give you objections that ones that you're really stumbling over, really having a hard time with. What a lot of people forget, or people don't realize that I have found through the coaching of hundreds of agents over my career, is that there's really only 7 to 10 true objections that people can give you when you're making your calls. And again, take the word cold out of it, whether you're making cold calls, warm calls, hot calls, whatever, to your sphere or not. The point is that really there's only 7 to 10 objections, period. So if you just can understand and master, and even get pretty good at it, you don't even need to master it, but get pretty good at these objection handling scripts and responses to when people give you an objection, you're going to crush it in sales. Beyond confidence and courage of getting on the phone and really knowing a couple good responses to the common objections you're going to get, you really don't need a heck of a lot else to be really successful at making calls. If you're really wondering what the difference is between somebody who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars great income for someone who's just struggling to make their next sale when it comes to making cold calls or calls in general. I'm telling you, the simple 2mm shift between these two people is that one person masters their scripts and masters objection handling, and the other person never takes the time to practice. This person just makes the calls. They tell everyone, oh, I make my calls today, I made my calls today, but you don't practice. You don't practice. This happens so often, and what you do is you end up practicing on your clients. How do you think that's going to feel? And you're wondering why your conversion ratio isn't like the top agents in your area. It's because you're not practicing objection handling or closing. When you practice over and over and over again, your objection handling, your closing scripts, your script in general, it's pretty hard to not get better at it. Because anything you spend time on, you're going to get better at. The beautiful thing also about calls is that you're not limited to any type of platform. I don't know if any one of you remember, but when Facebook and Instagram went down and everyone who was relying on Facebook ads, how much money was wasted that day? How much money was wasted? And all these people were waiting on leads to come in and there's no leads coming in. If you are reliant on one platform to drive all your leads, what happens when the Facebook algorithm changes? What happens when it goes from a cost per lead of, 5, 10, 15, 20 or whatever to hundreds of dollars per lead? It can change overnight, and it has changed in the past, and it's very different today than it once was. I don't like to be reliant on a platform to control my income. I want to be reliant on Henry and all of the seeds that I've been planting into my relationships. I'm relying on my relationships for my income. I'm relying on my skills, my efforts for my income. And then obviously I can translate that into leverage and other things like building a team. Another beautiful thing about making your calls is that you truly have immediate feedback and you see your results firsthand. Because when you're doing Facebook ads, it takes a while to get up and running, and there's so many different variables. Look, there is a lot of variables in cold calling, but again, all you really need to know is a couple key things. Master your script, master objection handling, and master your closes. If you can do that, you could suck at matching and mirroring. You could suck at tonality. You could suck at so many other things, but as long as you know your script, you know your objection handling, and you know your closes, you can easily close just about any sale that's is somewhat ready to buy. Any lukewarm lead, you're going to close them. Again, if you just know the simple things like understanding and memorizing your script, which honestly you don't even need to know so much in memorization as well as just having it in front of you so you can read it. But once you have your script and you can really understand your objection handling, commonly you're going to get not the right time, what's your commission, I want to sell it myself. You're going to hear things that are anything along the lines of how long have you been in the business, how many homes have you sold, what's your location, all this sort of stuff, which again is not really a true no, but it's just an objection that you're going to have to handle, and then dive into your script. Because again, when someone says, how many homes have you sold? And so many people who have only sold 4 houses, you get really, really hung up on that question instead of just saying, well, my company and I have sold over 1,000 homes in the last 6 months. I'm just breaking into your neighborhood because I have a lot of clients that are starting to look in your neighborhood. It just naturally seems to be where the next step is. I start to sell a lot of homes as a listing agent in your neighborhood. So when would be a good time for me to stop by, afternoons or evenings? Or again, people get stumped when people are coming to you and they say, oh, well, what's your commission? You go, yeah, that's not a great way to handle your objections when you could just simply dive into it and say, that's a fantastic question. It's actually going to be one of the first things that we talk on. I can assure you it'll be agreeable. What works better for you in afternoon or evening? And again, some people are just like, just tell me your commission. Listen, typically the commission rate ranges anywhere between 4 and 6%. However, it's hyper custom to my clientele. What would be better for you in afternoon and evening time for me to stop by? Once you've done it 1,000 times, it doesn't become complicated. You don't step over your words so often. You can just go into the close. Again, once you master your 7 to 10 objections, it really just becomes super simple. Don't overcomplicate this. The beautiful thing about calls is that anyone can do it. You could have 0 experience in selling homes, and you can pick up the phone. Matter of fact, I even tell people when they're in the process of getting licensed, start making their calls early and just, again, you're an investor. You work for an investor. You don't need to be licensed to basically make calls in regards to someone who wants to sell their home. You're not going to say you're with a brokerage. You say, hi, my name is Henry. I'm looking to see if you might consider selling your home because I represent a couple of people who might be interested in buying your property. You could say that without having a real estate license, by the way. I'm not saying I'm affiliated with any brokerage. And again, you can work for an investor who's doing that, you don't have to be licensed to make those calls. So realize that, again, so many people wait. So many people are hesitant. So many people want to make sure everything is perfect before they even pick up the phone. When that all can be mitigated by just practicing. I was by myself for years. In my old office, I would literally stand in front of a mirror and I would just read my script and read my script and read my script and read my script. And I would get really good at it to the point where I memorized my script. And then what happened was every single time I'd make my calls, I would have on my handy dandy notepad or my Post-its, I'd write down all the objections that I'm getting. If you're making calls and you're not writing down the objections that you're getting so that you can practice them later on, I don't know what you're waiting for. So you write them down, and then guess what? What you do is you practice that objection. And I would practice and practice and practice and practice. I'm not going to allow all this just go to luck or just go to some random roulette wheel. You need to practice your scripts. You need to mastering the art of communication is so imperative. Because there's people watching this video right now who are so hung up on being Facebook ad only, Instagram ad only, you want to do social media ads, and there's so many gurus who pitch you like that's the only way that you're going to be successful is just doing all this social media stuff. But what I don't understand, because I also run those ads, I'm not saying don't do that. But what I am saying is those leads come in, and then what? Do you have some robot who reaches out to them and handles 100% of your transaction? No, you need to understand how to pick up the phone, call them, and have a powerful conversation that enrolls that individual in using you as an agent. Just because they reached out and you're the first person they speak to doesn't mean they're going to work with you. You need to enroll them. You need to understand the art of communication, the power and the art of enrollment, so you can enroll them into working with you as an agent. You're still going to need to know a script. You're still going to need to know hypothetically when John says, again, I just clicked on the ad. I'm not really interested in selling. That's an objection. Because why would he click to see his free home evaluation if he had absolutely no interest in knowing his value of his home? If you think that you could just run Facebook ads or do social media ads and not understand the power of sales, the art of communication, the art of enrollment, and not understand that stuff, and you're just going to all of a sudden have money pouring into, raining from the sky, you're wrong. You need to understand the art of communication and practice and practice and practice your scripts, practice of your objection handling, practice and role play, and again, take notes when you're when you're doing your phone calls, because if you don't practice, you're going to be practicing on your clients and you're probably not going to see the results in your business and the results of sales and commissions that you'd like to see. I'll leave you with this. The amazing thing about cold calling is that it will live on forever. It's like door knocking. It lives on forever. It'll be something that you legitimately can do to the end of time. It will never not exist. Platforms are forever changing. Platforms, they're constantly evolving, and there's new platforms that are going to come out. I assure you there's going to be a new platform in 5 years that is not out right now, and a few of the ones that are out right now are not going to exist in the future. So again, this is why cold calling and understanding the art of enrollment, because this device is going to be around forever. It might just be implanted in our brain, right, or on our wrist or in our glasses, but you're going to be making calls, you're going to be communicating with people for the rest of your life. And that alone will make you wealthy. So allow today to be the stepping stone in getting into and mastering and taking your first steps into mastering the art of communication. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video.